Our kid, we're giving him to Mom. Can you imagine how happy she'll be living with her grandson every day, even if he's sick?"
The malice in my son's voice, heard over the phone, seemed almost mocking. I hugged my grandson tightly, making sure he couldn't hear that voice. He just turned 7 and had recently been to the hospital. There, the doctors diagnosed him with a certain illness, and my son and his wife left him at my house. Coming home from work, my heart nearly leapt out of my chest at the sight of my grandson sitting dejectedly in front of the entrance. From my grandson himself, "I was abandoned by Dad and Mom because I'm sick." I wished he could understand what this feels like for me. I immediately called my son. His response was an audacious declaration of abandonment. His wife, presumably next to him, let out a vulgar laugh. "She's near the end of her life anyway. Let the old lady take care of him, if she's so worried about getting sick." She spewed harsher words than my son and hung up the phone laughing. The call cut off unilaterally, never connected again, and I resolved to care for my trembling grandson in my arms. I'll raise him. First off, my name is Scarlett. I'm 57 years old and employed. I married my husband at 22 and gave birth to our eldest son, Henry, the following year. My husband adored Henry, and our family of 3 lived happily.
"He's so cute. I'm so happy to have such a cute child,"
my husband would say, beaming while holding Henry. But that happiness didn't last. When Henry was 2, my husband suddenly fell ill and passed away. I was inconsolable, but as a single mother, I had no time to grieve. I had to raise Henry alone. I worked hard and never remarried. Luckily, having been a full-time employee even before marriage, I managed to raise Henry without financial struggles. Henry is now 34. He works in a general company, but has always been somewhat frivolous and easily influenced. He landed his current job somewhat aimlessly, persuaded by a college senior. At 26, Henry married Hannah, a woman his age. Hannah was very strong-willed, and I never had a good impression of her, even during their courtship. For instance, Hannah frequently visited our home, but never once said hello or goodbye. One day, I gently brought this up. "Hannah, I'm glad you come to visit, but I'd appreciate it if you could at least say hello." Hannah responded with a sulky attitude. "Uh-huh. Why should I say that? I'm a guest. I'm doing you a favor by visiting. It's really annoying to be told what to do." I was taken aback by her defiance. "And Henry?"
"Mom, don't be so stiff,"
he would say. I thought it was common sense to greet when visiting someone's home, but apparently it didn't apply to Hannah. Henry seemed completely under the dominant Hannah's influence. After Hannah left, I reiterated my earlier point to Henry.
"Just let it go."
He dismissed it. Because of such incidents, I had a poor impression of Hannah. Of course, I repeatedly told Henry to be more responsible. The 2 of them rented an apartment after marriage and lived near us. The following year, they had their first son, Noah. He was my first grandchild. Children grow up so fast, and Noah soon turned 7. One day, as I was returning from work, and my house came into view, I noticed someone sitting at the entrance. Who is that? As I got closer, I realized it was Noah. I hadn't seen my son, his wife, or Noah recently due to my busy schedule, so I was surprised and delighted to see him after such a long time. "Noah, it's been a while. What are you doing here?" As I called out to him, Noah slowly looked up and met my eyes. "Grandma?" Seeing Noah's face after so long, I was speechless with shock. Parts of his face were pale and blotchy, and his eyes were red and swollen, as if he had been crying. I tried to stay calm and invited Noah inside the house. And then, "Noah, what happened? Can you tell Grandma? I asked gently. Noah nodded and began to speak slowly. You see, I got the skin disease. I forgot its name because it was complicated, but they said it's a rare disease. My heart ached seeing young Noah's trembling lips and his face turning pale. A rare disease? Is that really what they said? Yes, since I got this disease, Mom and Dad stopped looking at me. Today they brought me here, in front of Grandma's house, and told me to wait for you. Then Mom and Dad left. Shocked by Noah's story, I hurriedly called Henry. To keep Noah from hearing the conversation, I had him stay in the living room with the juice while I moved to another room. Henry, I heard it from Noah. How could you leave him in front of our house without telling me? What were you thinking? Ah, Mom's back. Yeah, Noah. He's got this rare disease called simplex pityriasis. It's a real hassle, you know. Simplex pityriasis. I remember hearing that name before. It had been featured on TV once. I'm sure it was a skin infection. If I recall correctly, it's a skin infection common in children, not a rare disease. Is that a rare disease? We were told it's simplex pityriasis by the dermatologist. It's a difficult name, so it must be a rare disease, right? So we thought if we get it, that'd be bad. Hannah suggested that you should take care of him, and I agreed. So Mom, please raise Noah for us. Thanks. What? You're still his parents. This is utterly irresponsible. I yelled, furious at Henry's outrageous statement. Then the phone was passed to Hannah, and her shrill voice came through. Henry and I are still young and have our whole lives ahead of us. It would be terrible if we caught such a creepy skin disease. So let the old lady who's got less time ahead take care of him. Bye. After her unilateral outburst, the call was cut off. Stunned, I immediately took out a book from the bookshelf with various diseases and their treatments to look up simplex pityriasis. Thank goodness, it's just a skin infection. He'll be fine. After researching, simplex pityriasis turned out to be not a rare disease, and in most cases, it's curable with proper treatment. Relieved, I felt a surge of anger towards my despicable son and his wife. Henry and Hannah had arbitrarily decided it was a rare disease because of the difficult name and left Noah with me, not wanting to catch it themselves. How selfish of them. I'll definitely raise Noah well. I muttered with determination and returned to the living room, smiling at Noah, who looked anxious. Noah, don't worry. Your illness can be cured. Let's go to the hospital together tomorrow. Really? Noah, who thought his condition was incurable, lit up. Yes, it's not a rare disease, so relax. And Noah, from today, you'll live with Grandma. It's okay. I'll make sure you're happy. Let's live together happily. Noah seemed a bit confused, but eventually nodded. Thank you, Grandma. He showed me a smile. Years passed, and it's been 9 years since then. I turned 66, and Noah is now 16. During these 9 years, there is no contact with my son and his wife. Noah, now in his teens, doesn't talk much, but he's grown into a kind boy who sometimes cooks meals. Having retired, I support Noah with my pension and retirement fund. One day, my son and his wife, who disappeared 9 years ago, suddenly showed up at our home. What do you want now, after all this time? I confronted them coldly at the entrance. After 9 years of silence, how dare they show their faces? Yeah, we saw that TV show the other day. Amazing Noah. To think he can earn so much money at his age. Apparently, they had seen a recent TV interview titled Teenage Genius Inventor. Hannah standing beside Henry. Getting patents and all. Really amazing, right? So rich now, huh? She said with a sneering smile. Yes, Noah is skilled at inventing and recently obtained a patent. Their attitude made it clear they came today, thinking Noah had made money from his patent. These two didn't show any concern for Noah, only talking about how rich they thought he had become. What a despicable couple they still are. Then Noah appeared behind me. He must have heard our conversation.
Hey, Noah, we've come to get you. A son is still a son, even if he's suffering from illness. Let's live together again with Dad and Mom.
Henry's exaggerated behavior seemed forced. To this, Noah coldly replied,
Who are you?
Noah, now a high school student, was old enough to understand. He must have realized from the conversation that his parents were only after money and had no affection for him. The son and his wife seemed surprised by Noah's indifferent attitude, but quickly recovered and started talking about various things. And then,
Noah has a disease, so his life will be very difficult. That's why Hannah and I will support him,
Henry declared.
What? You abandoned me, and now you're acting all high and mighty? Don't start acting like a dad now.
Noah, having listened to them for a while, clicked his tongue in disgust and laughed it off. I was astounded that they still believed Noah had a rare disease. His skin condition had completely healed by now. Henry and Mrs. Hannah, you've been mistaken all this time. Noah doesn't have a rare disease. Simplex pityriasis is a common skin infection in children. Noah recovered completely in about a year. My explanation left my son and his wife speechless. Then Henry suddenly changed his tone.
We were deceived. This is a joke. Why didn't you tell us such important information?
He yelled. Following him, Hannah also. You were kidnapped by this old lady. She took you for 9 years. Give back our child, you kidnapper, shouted Hannah. Despite their noisy ranting, Noah calmly took out his mobile phone from his pocket and called the police.
The police are on their way. Also, just to clear up any misunderstanding, getting a patent doesn't instantly make you rich. It only starts to pay off when businesses use the technology. And then I receive royalties. It's not some groundbreaking discovery, nor a widely used patent, so it's not likely I'm rich. All the money I've received so far has gone to cover materials, so I don't have any money.
After Noah explained this, the couple turned red with anger.
What the hell? Then why did we come here?
They exploded in fury. Seeing this, Noah sighed.
I don't know. You came on your own, and now you're angry for no reason. Just go home.
Noah laughed, to which Henry exclaimed,
Don't be so insolent.
Henry's fist was clenched, ready to strike Noah, but I quickly stepped forward. Just before Henry could hit me, a loud male voice called out,
Stop it!
It was a police officer outside the window. Seeing Henry's aggressive stance, they had moved in quickly. Another male officer quietly entered from the front door, stepping between us and Henry. Henry swung his clenched fist, laughing as if nothing had happened. Then to Noah,
Don't get cocky just because you're an inventor or something. Live with your grandma forever.
He spat out these words and left. The police asked about our well-being, to which we replied we were safe. After explaining the situation to them, they advised not to let my son and his wife into the house again, and I nodded in agreement. The police reassured us they would help if anything else happened. After the police left, worried about Noah's mental state, Are you okay? I asked. Even though he acted tough, being treated like that by his own parents must have hurt. But Noah said,
It would be a lie to say I'm not shocked. I thought I knew my parents were the worst for abandoning me after misinterpreting a doctor's diagnosis as a serious illness. But I never thought they were both that stupid. Thinking I'd be rich just because of a patent? Spouting nice words? Did they really think I'd agree to live with them again?
He sighed deeply, clearly displeased, and ruffled his hair. But the next moment, he narrowed his eyes and looked down at me.
More importantly, Grandma, why did you try to protect me when I was about to be hit? I'm already 16 and bigger than you. I don't need protection.
Noah told me this with an exasperated tone. I couldn't help but feel the same. What are you talking about? No matter how old you get, you want to protect your child. It's not about how big you are. I answered him seriously, and Noah groaned in a low voice before turning his back.
"You'd hate it more if you got hurt,"
he said awkwardly, and went back to his room. It seems he was worried about me. I felt happy, realizing Noah had grown up to be kind. After that, I immediately contacted a certain person. A few days later, I, along with that person, went to the house where my son and his wife now lived. As I rang the doorbell, Henry lazily opened the door and was shocked to see me and the person beside me.
"John? Why?"
The person next to me was Henry's friend, John. Startled by Henry's voice, Hannah also came from the back. "Mr. John?" Her face turned pale. Ignoring me, the couple trembled at John's visit.
"It's been a while, Henry and Hannah,"
John spoke, and Henry with intense curiosity asked,
"How did you find this place?"
I answered Henry's question. "When you came to our house the other day, you were bragging to Noah that you now live in a house in Portland. I didn't miss that."
"What? But how did you know exactly where we live? We didn't mention the specific address,"
Henry said in a panic. "Right. That's why I hired a private detective to locate your address."
"Private detective? That's unfair. It's no different from stalking."
"Then you were easily found. That's why I contacted John, and the two of us came to see you today."
"It's cowardly to use a public trust. It's no different from a stalker."
Henry screamed, but John glared at him.
"I have no sympathy for scammers. More importantly, Henry, Hannah, I want my money back."
John's firm voice filled the room. At his words, the couple shuddered in surprise. Yes, John, a friend of Henry, had lent them money. I learned about this fact after my son and his wife had disappeared. John came to my house, saying he had lent them money, but couldn't contact them anymore. He thought they might have returned to their parents' house because they were struggling, so he came to ask. He had asked me to contact him if I found out where they were. "You two," John said you borrowed $5,000 from him, saying Noah had a serious illness and you were in dire need of money. You exploited his sympathy." My words made the couple look down, trembling. "It's not just John. You borrowed money from many others, using the same story. And when repayment became difficult, you abandoned Noah and disappeared without paying anyone back. You've exploited people's kindness and done something truly despicable."
"No, but we really thought Noah had a serious illness."
"That's right. We borrowed the money because we believed that." The couple tried to excuse themselves, but I yelled at them, completely appalled. "What are you saying? Even if you thought that, you didn't do anything for Noah's treatment. You took him to the dermatologist once and then just left him, not spending a single penny. Where's the money you borrowed from your friends? It's not used for treatment, so you must have it, right? Of course you don't. It must have been spent on your enjoyment. You are the worst as parents and human beings. Have some shame." The son and his wife fell silent. "The reason you left Noah at my house wasn't because you were afraid of his illness being contagious, but to default on the money you borrowed from others. You started going on frequent trips and wearing only branded items months before you abandoned Noah."
"No, but we really didn't want to be around Noah because his illness was creepy."
Even now, the couple kept making excuses, and their words were utterly despicable. I sighed deeply. Noah was lucky not to be raised by parents like you. Otherwise, he might have ended up with a distorted personality because of you. I'm glad he's grown up to be so kind and respectable." The couple looked sulky and unconvinced. John then said to them,
"I have a rough idea of the other friends who were victims, so I plan to contact them and start a class action lawsuit against you two. Be prepared."
His tone was stern.
"A lawsuit? Wait a minute. Isn't that a bit too much?" "Too much? How? Unless you say right now that you'll repay me and everyone else in full." But you've already spent all that money, haven't you?
John's questioning left the couple speechless.
I never imagined I'd be betrayed by you, Henry, a longtime friend. After you two disappeared, I became distrustful of people for a while. I will never forgive you.
John glared at them with hatred in his eyes. I also told my son and his wife. You don't have to worry about Noah. He's a high school student now, capable of thinking for himself, so please don't contact him. And with that, I cut ties with him. Months later, despite being threatened, Henry and his wife still hadn't repaid the money. The couple faced a class action lawsuit from people they had borrowed money from. The amount each person loaned was less than $10,000, but it totaled a significant sum, leaving them unable to repay the debt. They had to sell the house they bought just a few years ago. Most of the proceeds went to the mortgage, and the little left was used to pay the compensation. I couldn't believe they had to sell their residence, their most valuable asset. But they had planned to come to my house, so they decided to sell it. I found out about this after the lawsuit had been going on for a while. Henry called me in a rage.
Mom, hey, our house is gone. What's going on?
I sold it. Just like the for sale sign says. You can see that, right? I had decided to sell the house and land even before they faced the lawsuit. The real estate agent advised that it's better to demolish the house and sell the land, as vacant plots are harder to sell these days. Following the advice, I demolished the house and sold the land quickly due to its good location. I used the money for moving expenses with Noah. Noah was attending a high school quite far from our old home, and the commute was long, so we moved closer to his school. After explaining this, Henry started shouting.
What? Where are you living now? We sold our house and have nowhere to go. We plan to live with you, so give us your address.
I won't tell you. One of the reasons I sold the house and land was to cut ties with you. I won't tell you where we live now, and I'm going to block your number, so don't contact us ever again.
That's too harsh.
Behind a stunned Henry, I could hear Hannah's voice filled with despair. The ones who are harsh are you two. It seems like you haven't reflected at all, but you should take some time to think about your actions and reflect. That's all I can say as a parent. Goodbye. With that, I hung up the phone and set it to block their calls. My estranged son and his wife eventually found an old apartment to live in, but it seems they're having a tough time. Afterwards, I consulted the lawyer, hired by John, and reconsidered my relationship with Noah. Until now, I had raised him as a substitute parent, being his grandmother. However, now Henry and his wife's presence was having a negative impact on Noah. So I thought about becoming Noah's parent legally, adopting him as my son. If recognized, I would need to split my inheritance between Noah and Henry when I pass away. This would be an effective way to prevent Henry from taking everything. I decided to confirm Noah's feelings. Noah, I'm thinking about adopting you, not just as grandmother and grandson, but legally as mother and son. What do you think? Of course, I want to respect your feelings. After my question, Noah was silent for a while.
Yeah, I want to be officially your son.
He smiled shyly. Having confirmed Noah's feelings, I contacted the family court with the help of the lawyer. Due to Henry and his wife's deplorable actions, the adoption was approved relatively easily. Noah, being 16 years old, must have also played a significant role. Noah and I successfully completed the adoption process. Although Noah is still in the midst of adolescence, I was very happy that he chose me over his biological parents. Noah, skilled in inventing, continues to take on various challenges, and I enjoy a peaceful life, looking forward to his growth.